Beautiful.
And tell me what you're talking about this morning.
We are talking today about what people are doing in this restart of life and what they feel they need to do now that they've had all this time to think and look at what's going on in the world. They're now saying, I don't have to just do what I've always done. I don't have to just be always the person I've been. This new time, as scary as it was, has made me think, and what are my options? And we've seen some amazing changes out there of people saying, not even that I want more control over my destiny in my life, and that's what we're talking about.
So you're out and about. You're one of the best real estate trainers in the country. You're meeting agents. You're meeting a lot of staff of agents in the real estate business, and that's the word on the street. Hey, everyone's doing the big reevaluation.
Very much so. Like, we've seen people put on staff. We've seen people start their own businesses. We've seen people run their own effective business units. We've seen people shift brand. This uneasiness has brought about, and this happens in life, when people get scared, concerned, and cornered, they can then suddenly say, well, what's the worst thing that can happen to me? And the worst thing is, and once you accept that and say, okay, well, I get that. So what's a good thing that can happen to me? Like, what's a great thing that could come out of this? I could actually use this time to do something different. I could use this time to progress my skills. I could use this time to become digital. I could use this time. And it actually, fear is an amazing driver at times. And I love the acronym for fear, which is false evidence appearing real. A lot of people think fear is holding us back, but it can actually be a driver at the same time when you think, well, if that's false evidence appearing real, that's what that is. What could I really do? And I was just mentioning before that franchising's up 60%. For those people that took that option to take that money off their super fund, instead of just blowing that money, they've actually gone out and bought a dog washing franchise or a gym's mowing, or maybe look at real estate for the first time as an option, as a new career path. And that money's just to back themselves before they can get to a point where they're actually generating enough money, but generating money in their control. And Mark, I think one of the most exciting parts about the real estate world is your life is one-to-one. You are the company to the customer. You don't have to watch it all go on around you. I know one of the most exciting things when I got into real estate was, wow, you can earn as much as you like by working as hard as you want, because you don't get paid any income, you generate it. And I think that's why the franchising world's gone up. People want to put some effort in and see the return.
It's a bit sobering for people, I guess, isn't it? Like, people have sobered up out of COVID now, and they're thinking, well, and like you said, I know, look, personally for me, the fear of loss is always a great driver. It is for me. And I think that's, you sort of try to be a better husband, you try to be a better dad, you try to be a better person when you face that fear of loss. And I think a lot of people face that fear of loss. Hey, like, it was going through that period. Like, if you think about that first week or two of COVID, like, we didn't know how sharp that blade was or how deep that was going to cut. That's pretty daunting stuff. The residual after that, which is now, is pretty big.
Couldn't agree more. And I know my thoughts in that time, and I want our listener to take something from this. We've all got fears, but you can't take on everybody else's fears for them and take on that pressure as well. So, Mark, my biggest fear was 20 of my staff losing their job. That had me in tears at night. It had me awake. You know, we're a public speaking company. That was fearful. However, within that, that's a responsibility. But then there's other people around you that are expecting you to do things for them. And I think one of the biggest things for anyone who employs people or has people work alongside them, could even be children, that you are trying to assist. I think the rule of thumb here is if you're working harder on them than them, there's an issue. That's when you're taking on things way too wide. You know, yep, we're here to help, support, and do whatever we can, but everyone's got to dig in and do their part and not just wait for somebody else to save them or fix it along the way. And I think that's the point. And we've all had it with our children, our work colleagues, our friends, our partners. There's only so much weight you can bear of others, and then they've got to kick in themselves with their own fear. And that fear, there's some great words there of, find somebody else more terrified than you and help them, and you can suddenly find courage. And I think that's what it all comes down to.
Just want to say g'day to some viewers. Amal, g'day, legend, false evidence. Ray Price, how are you, buddy? But no, it is interesting, hey, because what you said is you got a problem when you want to help people more than they want to help themselves. That's very interesting, and I think that's very typical with parenting. You know what I mean? It's much easier to build on what the kid on what your child wants to build on, rather than build on what you want to build on. And then moving that over to the workforce, I guess it can be it's definitely the same way, isn't it?
Very much so. And, we've all had that scenario, fork in the road as a parent of, am I going to do the assignment for you so you get good grades, or are you going to do the assignment for you and get mid grades? Having the most incredible astrology setup ever put together by contractors was not what the exam was about. It was about taking responsibility to finish something. And Mark, I think this puts us onto a new topic. If you look at, actually, I'll pick you as a person. I get to work with you, but one thing about you is if you say you're going to do it, you'll do it. And I think the world's full of people that don't complete things, don't finish things or see it through. And it can be business life, cleaning your garage, looking after your kids, whatever it is. But do you complete stuff? If I said to our audience now, what's 5 things you are passionate about that if you completed in the next 12 weeks would make a significant difference in your life? What are those 5 things? I know I was driving down here today and I was listening to some audio voice notes that I've made that I'm trying to get into my brain before I start a project, and probably listen to it 15 times so that I could register in my own memory log that this is important. And I think, I can look at young people who seem disinterested about everything. Then you find something they're passionate about that's important to them, and they'll move heaven and earth to get it. And I love seeing that fire come alive in people when they've just worked out, but this is important. And, it's like speaking with staff. I was going through a challenge that we had yesterday where something had gone wrong, as things do. And I don't mind things going wrong, but my point to the staff was it's not about the procedure or the checklist. The point is you don't take your job seriously enough. Because if you were flying overseas right now or tomorrow, I bet you every checklist is done. You've checked your passport. You make sure you got your cards, your money, your visas, everything's there because it's important. And I'm just asking you to lift your intensity of what you call this job important. Otherwise, let somebody else who wants to do it, who finds the job important. And that's where it is. And as you can see, I'm not quite over yesterday, but I'm all good.
Yeah. But what's interesting, the 60% franchising growth in the last couple of weeks, month, whatever, that's interesting, and applying it to what you're saying, because people have taken this opportunity now to sober up and then pursue their passion. So it could be quite an exciting time for our economy, because people have actually moved into the right jobs in the right places to do what they love, and productivity could go through the roof for that reason, because they were sitting in jobs they didn't really like, and by default they sort of got stuck, whereas that displaced them, dislodged them, and got them moving into something that they love.
And that, Mark, could be property. Last week, I had a great assignment. I was doing a private complete salesperson course up in Port Macquarie for a gentleman by the name of David Gray. And David's been quite a very successful investor, developer, learned lots of lessons, and he's got a book coming out on that topic where he wants mums and dads to understand there's all different types of investment, duplex, invest in real estate property management, but there's no one thing that fits everyone. It's based on your risk model and what you can and can't do. But David's moved up to Port Macquarie, bought 9 real estate businesses. He's in a whole new world. Yep. And the Elders Lifestyle Group up there is this big group of people now who are all these offices were purchased to come into a common cause. But it's amazing the new people attracted to his business due to his vision and passion of what's going to happen next in real estate. And then helping, I think they're at 3,000 property managements. That's a lot of mums and dads that he's helping out in the real estate space, and wants them to understand about investment, writing a book for them, and having a developer who's been through all those challenges and ins and outs. If life's about keeping out of the potholes, he's writing a fantastic book for mum and dads to understand how to invest in real estate your way. And I just think it's a great thing.
Unbelievable. So the message, what do you reckon? And I think this is, I did a post the other day extending off this 60% growth in franchises that we're talking about. This post that I did was the banks coming off these, the loans thawing out that banks have done. But it seems like everyone's now focused on that 4 to 8 weeks ahead. And it seems like no one's really focused on the health issue of COVID as much. And the shift has now become to an economical focus. The shift has gone to a focus of, oh my God, job saver is going to be finished. And is this the only thing that's been keeping us afloat? Because if it is, we're all in trouble because of it. What do you reckon is going to play out from what you're sort of seeing and hearing on the street? Because you're talking to a lot of business people, a lot of very experienced business people. What's the word on the street of what you reckon? So obviously the franchising is going bananas, but which direction is the market going to go now?
What a great question. If I look at my last 10 business owners that I've spoken to, the conversation was identical with each one. We were hit, we were stuffed, we didn't know what to do, we didn't want to lose staff. Some went, but they were going anyway. And then those who kicked in, actually some left because they do better on job saver or keeper than they would working under their current salary, which is a sad moment where someone thinks, one of my favourite sayings, Mark, is when all the money passes hands, the question is, what did you contribute? And I love that saying because all the invoicing and all the money and all the payment goes, but what did you actually contribute? Did you employ young people who became great managers and leaders of others? Did you service the real estate community and protect their asset? Did you employ salespeople and property managers from school and they became great people? I look at those things and for me, they count. But then all the business owners did say, Lee, I wouldn't be here without JobKeeper. And JobKeepers give them a chance to reevaluate. A few of them said, we won't come back ever like we did. We won't have that. We won't need this. They're definitely learning to work lighter. And I think that's an interesting way of working without dropping service levels. But I think there's a lot of business wastage or leakage going on that there's a humbling part of real estate that the veil's been lifted and maybe we don't need all that stuff. At the end of the day, if we look at the real estate industry, you can do all the technology and everything you like. At the end of the day, someone's looking for a house. Can you find one and pop them in it? That has not changed in what the customer requires from us. And I think the greatest question that has come out of all this in this restart, this rethink, who are you, is who am I serving? Who's my customer? What am I fixing? And forget your competition. Focus on your customer. What does the customer actually want from you that will provide value? They want to be associated, glad to work with you. I know myself, Mark, I work with some other external coaches that I bring in to test my thinking. I'm about to write another book, and who says I'm right? I could have the wrong chapter headings or the wrong directions. And some of these people are my competitors. And I'll bring in and say, look, I want you to tell me what you think's wrong or right about what I'm about to do. And I love that collaboration of testing. And I've seen a lot more people work together after this rather than, if you and I are competitors, Mark, which we're not, one wins, one loses, versus what if we both got it right? What if we both came out better and worked together?
Isn't that interesting?
I've seen some amazing collaborations in this. It's been wonderful.
Isn't that amazing? So almost what you're saying is it's the economic forecast that I asked you about for the next 4 to 8 weeks is not even that important, because what we've built in the last 12 weeks and discovered and learnt and trimmed and stuff, all that stuff is moving forward now. So economically, down or up, it sort of doesn't matter as much. The lessons are learned, and we're applying those to ourselves and our businesses, and they're much more important. What you've got left over when all the money's past hands. So the money is not really as important. The job seeker finishing is not really important. It's the leftover is more important, that we're carrying with us the next 4 to 8 weeks.
Couldn't agree more. Let's look at one of my favourite words: progress or progression. And if you're watching and listening to this program right now, let's do a little self-analysis question. One of the questions we've asked on the show today is, what's 5 things you're passionate about that if you did in the next 12 weeks, those little mini projects, they can be simple, would make a true difference in your life and career? That's a great question for today. It's not hard to pull over after this particular segment and write down those 5, but then write down another 5. What are my top 5 learns in this time that I can apply to my progression? You know, one of those would be true colours. A lot of people bring out their true colours in these times, and you think, wow, that's interesting that you would say, think, or feel that. I'm not saying you're right or wrong, but I'm hearing you. And I think everyone, because I've seen the opposite of true colours. Some people that I didn't think would have done anything did do something. I think, wow, you really kicked in and followed through on that. And I haven't seen you that accelerated and passionate in 20 years, let alone the last 13 weeks. And that's a good point. Mark, you and I were on a bike ride through Thailand 13 weeks ago when all this started. I remember you and I sitting there going, geez, they're all sounding stressed back there. What is it? And then we arrived back into the festival of confusion, but it's still only 13 weeks ago that all happened. It's not that long, really. But time has accelerated that. I'm going to contradict myself now. 13 weeks is a long period of time. What have you done in the last 13 weeks? What are you going to do in the next 13 weeks? And then the next 13 weeks after that become, you know, how intense are you or serious about what you want to do within your life? Because maybe this has woke a lot of people up and they've let the last 10 years go and done really nothing. Just 10 years goes fast. It's not hard to, and for me, I notice I used to live in this area and I come back and think, wow, you know, that's still there after all this time. Could be Kelly's office furniture. Like that's been going how long and still in the same spot? How amazing. Success is about consistency.
And so with that, a really big thing. So I think a big thing about this franchising growing 60%, take $1 away, or whether you give $1 to me, it's my attitude is much more relevant than you giving me $1 or taking $1 from me. It doesn't matter. So putting that back over to that job seeker question that I asked before, how are we going to be after job seekers finished? Whether we're down $1 or whether we're up $1, it doesn't really matter. Our attitude is what matters. And I believe we're better for it. Our attitude's better.
I agree, Mark. I think what we've just experienced is a masterclass in attitude. And if you're out there now and stuck it out, did some less hours and stayed with the company and had that appreciation that your employer, who is your franchise really, is the person who was there, kept you employed, that appreciation will make you feel different about working in that environment. Being thankful to have a job. If other opportunities popped up for you in that time, or you came alive and decided, you know what, I'll give you an example of that. I've had some brilliant salespeople who've really done nothing for the last 5 years and have just got serious about their career now. And this has been that masterclass of attitude that, and probably one of the hardest things for me as a coaching, training advisor is this one point. You meet so many people, Mark, who've got all the jargon, but not the behavior. Success is a set of behaviors that you do. get up early and get something nailed and finished and get there on time. That wonderful article of that military guy about wake up and make your bed. You know, you want to be successful, make your bed first thing in the morning. You know, what are your daily disciplines? And don't Google that. I'm asking you personally, to all the listeners and watchers. So, Mark, you walk every day at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's one of those daily disciplines. It's bloody freezing out there at the moment. Why do you walk at 5 o'clock every morning?
Health of the mind, health of the body.
So
the relationship
loosens thought. And you've obviously got a lot to think about when you turn up on the deck here and it's full on. But that one daily discipline, it's easy to stay in bed and say it's cold and this, but, you know, it's one of those daily disciplines. I'm in my recording studio at 5 o'clock every morning. And it's in my backyard. It's all purposely built. I can have Ugg boots and jammers on and be in there within minutes. But I've got to be starting, working, finishing or completing something every day. Otherwise, I'm no longer providing value. I'm not doing my part.
Can I share something with you? G'day, Lisa. G'day, Andrew Cole, Adam Nassif legend. How are you guys? Boot camp. Lisa said it was 13 weeks ago. We had boot camp. Boot camp it was. Can I share something a bit close to my heart that I haven't really told anyone externally that I'm going to say on Facebook Live, this show. I was really worried about the business 13 weeks ago, 12 weeks ago. And the most influential people, some of the most influential people in business around me, I turned to and said, like, what are you doing? The majority of my small circle had cut wages by 50% in their business. Some of these guys had over 200 staff, some of them 30, 40. And that was the best, but what they did was a little bit fairer than that. They also said, everyone can apply for their super. And if you're under 130K, your actually cash flow is going to be better off than what it was if you take your super pre 30 June, after 30 June. But what we'll do is, if the market fares better than we think, we'll do an equalisation payment of your wages. We'll top it all back up. But if it's less than what the market thinks, then everyone's going to take that proportional hit that the company's taken. Very calculated, very, very, I don't know, fair, unfair, illegal. And I was like, right, survival. I know a lot of our competitors in our marketplace did something similar, where they turned to their staff and said, 30% hit. And this goes back to the attitude. This goes back to exactly what we're saying. Franchising up 60%. People's behaviour has changed. People's attitude has changed. This was part of my attitude, defining moments in life, where I said, you know what? And I talked to Lisa about it, and we said, I'm going to think about it. Not going to do anything rash. Some people bang, next day they've executed it. I waited a week. Again, I talked to my buddies. They said, you done it yet? I said, no. But I'm going to do it Tuesday. Tuesday came and it still didn't sit well with me. And I was like, maybe I'll do 30%, maybe I'll do 50%. Spoke to some key staff in the business, and they thought their words were, we'll follow you into this. If that's what you think is the best thing to do, that's what we'll do. I missed one very good friend of mine, and was lucky to have a meal with him, and he said to me, Mark, some of these guys have been with you a very long time. Some have gone, and most importantly, the ones that are stuck by your side right now. You've put your kids through school. You've pursued your hobbies and your passions. You've traveled. You've had a home. You've bought investments. Your office. Your last 18 years your crew's been very kind to you. Yes. I think I had this discussion with you, Lee, as well.
Yeah.
I got some advice with you on this, and I said, yeah. And he said, now when times are tough, you're gonna put your hand in their pocket. So when they were there for you through the highs and lows of business, are you now there for them? And he said, I get it that you just simply can't survive. But he said, if you've got the ability to see out the next 12 weeks, maybe it's going to be 26 weeks. If you've got the ability, he said, the loyalty and respect that you'll have from your team by standing by them will be far greater than the loyalty and respect you'll have from your team if you do the option of making them take a 30 or 50% hit. And I said, even with an equalisation payment, I'm going to make it up. He said, even with an equalisation payment. And he further said, and if you could take this opportunity to grow your business, to expand your business, if it is going to be a quiet time, that's what you should do.
Wow. And that was the result.
And that's what we did. So, and I can't tell you how nice it was to be opposite the team. And I said to the team, guys, I'm not going to ask you for 50% off what you're getting paid. I'm not going to ask you for 30% off. But what I'm going to ask you is 30% more of what you can give.
Yeah, right.
If you can give concentration or focus or passion or time or anything or days off or whatever, I'm asking you guys for that right now, because I am putting in my bit more, and this is a display of it. Interesting. Attitude. And
I think it's been a time like that for all of us in working twice as hard for half as much, but you've either got time or money. And the time shift has been quite significant for a lot of people. And I think the receiving part of the people you serve, they've been quite different to chat to as well, because they're obviously going through a different part of their life. And I know when we were working here with your property management department, Mark, and we just, what's the plan? Let's reach out to the landlords. We're here to protect the asset. Is there anything you need? Just call me at any time. And the advice line was the channel that we took to marketplace as, this is important. It's not about negotiating. It's about collaborating with the tenants of Novak to see how we can all do this and bring it all together. But just the landlords being ecstatic with the reach out of, okay, I didn't have a question, I have concerns, but thank you for reaching out. That's what people remember most versus, okay, I'm going to change, shift, move, go. Anyone can run, but will you stand there and stick it through or find another way? I think that's what this all came, that's my biggest learn of the whole thing. What if we could find another way? Well, we can't do what we did anymore, so find another way. But that became a daily thought of, what are you going to do today? I don't know. We're going to find another way. And or you can watch in the grandstand. But if you want to be on the field and play along the life game, you've got to be on the field. You can't just watch the game forever.
Yep. Yeah, look, it's definitely an amazing sobering now, and I can't wait. I cannot wait on wrapping this up. I just can't wait for the next 4 to 8 weeks. I'm deeply sorry and sore for industries that both hands and both legs were tied up, and I get that not everyone could pivot, and if I can help those guys, I would. And they are travel, and they are hospitality. So, what we should do as a community is anything we could do to help these guys out, we really, really should do, because they are in a world of pain. But if they are 5% or 10% of the marketplace, and that 90% of the marketplace is what the majority of us are talking about today, respectfully.
Yeah, I was working with the one of the best sound engineers in Australia for music is a gentleman by the name of Terry Cox. There's not many albums he hasn't worked on in the music industry. And we're very fortunate that he does sound advice for us in our studios, and came up and set up our new studios. We've got a big record going on this weekend, and, you know, bringing in that level of expertise is what you do. But, you know, Terry reportedly, first job I've had, all albums have been stopped, all gigs have been stopped, all live engineering's been stopped. People are not releasing albums till 2022. And you look at that full stop and think, wow, how difficult, how do you get through this? Which brings along our final comment, adjacent space. No matter what you do, there is adjacent space around you. So be it you are a real estate agent, the adjacent spaces, you know how to give advice on professional marketing. And people in your space right now, be it your accountants, lawyers, removalists, whoever it is, may need some help on marketing. You might work for a charity. One thing that you and I can do, Mark, is generate lead generation for money for the children, because we understand how to communicate. We're communicators. And everyone's got a set of skills, but who else could you help around you with some adjacent space? And I tell you, it comes back. It is amazing how it comes back.
And that's just not throwing money at these guys. That's throwing what they're lacking and what you've got a strength in. And that thought space. Well said.
Excellent.
Thank you. Do you know how to hang up?
I'm going to work it out.
So, guys, just so you know, Lee was ad hoc, not meant to be doing this morning, and he had to go into our sound studio and get the thing firing up. And he did. There's 3 buttons on the bottom, Lee. On the bottom of the Zoom screen.
Yep. Cool.
And you can hit that little puppy. But so he came in, and I told you intricately what needed to be done, and you nailed it. You nailed it.
This is Zoom on steroids, this thing. Thank you, everyone. Wonderful to see you all. And Mark, I will see you soon.
Thanks, Legend. See you soon. Love you. See you. Bye, everyone. Bye.